Hello there. Welcome in, everybody. Good to see you. As folks are filing in, got a little something to show you guys. So just go on ahead and watch this, and we'll
Hello there.
settle
In,
all in.
everybody. Good to see you.
Give me one sec.
As folks are filing in, got a little something to show
Let
you
me
guys.
just
So just
fix
go on ahead
that.
and
I
watch
appear to
this,
be
and we'll
doubling. This is why we do
settle all
this.
in.
Quiet you. There we go. Now we're good. All right. Go ahead and watch this. All righty. Welcome on in, everyone. We're glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Sioux virtual tour experience. The Learning Center is excited to offer this content, allowing you to connect to the Field Museum from the comfort of your home or school. My name is Bob, and I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the field trips educator at the Field Museum. And I'm here to manage the multimedia, the tech stuff, all the behind the scenes hullabaloo for this session. During this presentation, I have my good pal here. Jeff is a Sioux docent with 10 years of experience and the public programs coordinator at the Field Museum. And he'll be sharing some facts and stories about Sue's life and Sue's time at the Field Museum. So let's move on over here. There will be four sections to today's presentation. We have an introduction to Sue. We have Sue as a living creature, Sue's hard life, and Sue's discovery and time at the Field Museum. This presentation is interactive, so during each session, we'll turn to you with some questions to capture your knowledge about Sue. These questions will pop up in the slideshow and we will read them aloud as well. We are also going to be using this old thing here. Lovely Sue model here. It's an interactive 3D model of Sue the T-Rex, and we've included the link in the model in the registration email you should have received, so you can follow along with us while we take a walk around Sue today. After the presentation, you can continue to hang out and learn with Sue using the model, so that's kind of cool. You can even use a 3D viewer like Google Cardboard or Oculus to witness Sue right there in front of you to scale. Nice. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my good buddy Jeff, who's going to introduce us to the most famous resident of the Field Museum, and that is the one and only, often duplicated, never replicated, Sue. Take it away, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Hi, all, and welcome. We are here to talk Sue, the T-Rex. And we are going to get into the details. We're going to talk about Sue as a living creature and even Sue's injuries. And as we go along, as Bob said, this is interactive. So we might call on you to do some input in the chat or to talk with each other. And definitely send us your questions and your thoughts through the chat or through the Q&A. Now, I'm not a paleontologist, but I have learned a lot from them. So I may not have all the answers, and the little secret is neither do paleontologists. They study these incredible fossils to learn more, and we're always learning new things about dinosaurs. Well, let's talk Sue the T-Rex. Sue is what we like to call the best of the best. Why is that? Well, first off, Sue is a T-Rex or Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is generally considered to be the best or most famous dinosaur out there. And of the T-Rexes, we believe Sue is the best of those for several reasons. First off, Sue is one of the biggest, if not the very biggest T-Rex ever found. And this is big. If you look here, you'll see that Sue is about 40 feet long. That's a little longer than your average school bus. Sue would be 13 feet tall at the big hips, and then probably close to 15 with the head in the air. If you were in the second story of a house, Sue could look up and look right in the window. Imagine looking out and seeing that looking back at you. And Sue would weigh about 9 tons. That's almost as much as 2 elephants. And see the elephant here for comparison. So this is a big creature. But Sue's also the best for a few other reasons. Sue is the best preserved and most complete adult T-Rex ever discovered. That means that Sue has details that you wouldn't see on any other T-Rex preserved through the fossils. And Sue is 90% complete. That means we have 90% of the bulk of this creature preserved for 67 million years. Pretty fantastic. Sue might also be the oldest T-Rex ever found. How old? Well, we're going to go into that later, so I'm not going to reveal it yet, but think about how old a T-Rex might get. Now, Sue is also pretty cool for a few other reasons, and one of them is Sue's head, or the skull. So Sue's skull is actually not mounted on the body. If you come to the museum, you'll see it in a separate case. And in these pictures, you can tell why. If you look at the picture with all the people in it, you can see our own Bill Simpson, one of our paleontologists. He's down there kind of taking a look in the blue shirt there. We study that skull so much that it's just easier to keep it in that glass case, and you can just pull it out, wheel it out, and take a look at it up close rather than climbing up a 13-foot ladder. And you also see in the other picture, the skull is a little smashed to the side, right? It spent 67 million years under Sue's body being fossilized and crushed in the earth. So it's a little bit askew there. What we did was we straightened it out a bit, made the casts or the molds, and then put one on the body so you can see what it really looked like. Well, Sue is a pretty amazing creature, and we're going to get into Sue's life next. But before that, we want to get a little interactive here, and I'm going to send you back to Bob with some trivia.
Alrighty there, Jeff. Well done. Thank you so much. Yeah, we got some trivia for you. So let's dig in. Here we go. Which aspect of T-Rex has never been found fossilized? Is it A, the ear bone? Is it B, the footprint? C, the skin impression? Or D, the eggs? 2. Sue the T-Rex was about as big as a what? A bike. B, Jeep. C, school bus. Or D, a Carnival cruise ship. And 3, which is an opinion question, which everyone will get, no problem. It's an opinion. What do you feel is the biggest mystery of the T-Rex? Is it A, how to tell male from female? B, what did they use those tiny little arms for? C, did they have feathers or not? Or D, did they hunt in packs or alone? And we can't forget our visual right here. Where can you see a nearly complete copy of Sue outside the Field Museum? Is it A, the Museum of the Rockies? B, Disney's Animal Kingdom? C, O'Hare Airport? Or D, Rock and Roll McDonald's? So much to choose from. Give you guys a chance to plug those answers in. And while we're waiting for some answers to come through, just going to give some shout outs here. Of course, Illinois, that's where the Field Museum is. So appreciate All my Illinois peeps out there. We got some Michiganders. Well done. We're glad to have you. And our neighbors over in Indiana. Good to see you. Kansas, you are still in Kansas, but the Field Museum ain't in Kansas anymore. Welcome in. Good to see you. South Dakota, Cali is here, Rhode Island, Florida, Georgia, Roll Tide, New Mexico, Virginia, Minnesota, and Ohio. Welcome in. We are glad to have you all. All righty. So let's dig into all this. Jeff, you ready?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Here we
All
are.
right.
We're going to close that poll up. Thank you guys for participating. And here we are for our first question. We were asking about which aspect of the T-Rex has never been found fossilized. And most of us out there are saying that it is C, the skin impression.
All right. That is a really great thought because, boy, that would be rare, but they have been found. In fact, all these are really rare, but the only one never found are T-Rex eggs. The eggs have never been found, so we don't have a real good idea of how many eggs they laid or how big the eggs were or what the little babies were like when they were first born. So if you said D eggs, you got it. And what about Sue's size?
All right, most of us are out there are saying school bus.
Excellent. The audience was paying attention to our graphic. They saw that school bus and Sue. It is school bus. Opinion, no right or wrong here, but what did the audience think?
All right. We got some right now leading the polls here. We have B. What do they use those tiny little arms for?
Oh,
Excuse me.
the arms. Yes, that is one of those enduring mysteries of the T-Rex. So the arms we're going to talk about a little bit later, so I'm not quite going to reveal it all now, but it is a mystery. What I will say is that looks like a few people had that question about male or female, so I will hit that right now. So it is really, really difficult to tell male from female T-Rex, boy from girl. There's no good way to do it. There is a possibility that you could look at certain parts of the bone inside and find this like tissue for laying eggs. Now, only females lay eggs, so only females would have this tissue fossilized. So that's a good clue, but it's still a little bit up for debate, like a lot of things. So right now, I will refer to Sue as either they or Sue or it for the fossil because we don't know if Sue is male or female. All right, time for that picture trivia.
All right, our picture daily double here. What do we have? Where can you see a nearly complete copy of Sue outside the Field Museum? Most of us are saying the Museum of the Rockies.
Ah, that's a pretty good guess because when I look at that, that looks quite a bit like Sue. But when I look really carefully at B, Disney's Animal Kingdom, that looks even more like Sue. So the correct answer is B, Disney's Animal Kingdom. You said B, you got it. Disney helped us purchase Sue, and so they got a complete copy for the Animal Kingdom. All right. Well, we've talked about some mysteries of Sue. We're going to talk about some things that we are pretty confident in right now about how Sue lived. So let's talk about Sue's life. Now, Sue the T-Rex, as I mentioned, would have lived 67 million years ago in what is now South Dakota. Some of you are watching us from South Dakota. That's super cool. That's Sue's home territory, stomping grounds. Now, this is where I like to get some audience participation. If you have the chat feature, I'm going to ask a question. I want you to put your answer into the chat. If you don't have a chat, don't worry. Tell someone next to you. Tell someone around you. Here's your question. Take a look at Sue's world. You see Sue right there in the middle. What else do you notice around Sue in this picture? What else is in the environment, the habitat in Sue's world? Put that in the chat. Again, if you don't have chat, turn and tell. Tell someone around you. What is it you're noticing? What do you see there behind Sue? What do you notice in the corner? What was Sue's world like?
What do we
Ah,
see out there?
we are getting trees, dry mud, a dino laying down. Up, more people now, trees, Forest, water, dirt, plants and trees, plants, trees, water, mud. Oh, everyone's responding. That's awesome. Yeah, you guys have great eyes. You're seeing all these different things, especially the trees and the plants, right? Full of green. So Sue lived in a world that was very green, very warm. You can kind of see that ground. Oh, yeah, Miss Payton's class notices trees, rocks, water, mounds, and trees. Yeah, good job noticing the water. It's right there in the corner. But in the next scene, we're going to see a lot of water. It was very wet where Sue lived. And yeah, you guys did notice another dinosaur. So let's look at our next picture. That was just your warm up. Now we're going to get serious. I want you all to take a look at our next scene. And this time, your challenge is to put in the chat all the different animals you see other than Sue the T-Rex, because there's a lot of animals hiding in this picture. What are the different animals you see? It could be an animal from today, or it could be something long extinct. There's both in here. Scan that picture. I will tell you one thing I noticed. It's up in the upper corner. There are two pterosaurs, those big flying reptiles that aren't actually dinosaurs, but live together with them. I see those up there. Let's see what everyone else sees. All right. Oh, we see an alligator, something like a raccoon. Yeah, mammals, turtles. Ashley says turtles, alligators, turtles, triceratops. You guys are good. Hardly keep up with you. Triceratops, alligators, crocodiles, dinos, monkeys, turtles, T-Rex. Oh, wow. So you guys are seeing a lot of stuff from today, like turtles, alligators, little mammals, almost like a monkey or a lemur, right? But we're seeing dinos too. Triceratops, Ankylosaurus. Yeah, a bird-like dinosaur with feathers. So this is Sue's world. Sue lived with things we'd know from today and things that are long since extinct. In fact, there was one other creature that lived with Sue that we can't forget, and we want to see here now in this next picture. There were birds. That's right. So birds were back then, and they were just like birds today. They flew, they made nests, they laid eggs, they had feathers, they had little beaks. So birds were all over the place as well. This was Sue's world. And of course, at the top of the food chain is the star of our show, Sue the T-Rex, what we would call the apex predator. That means the top predator of the day. So let's take a look at that 3D model of Sue. And we're going to zero in and see some things that would have made Sue such an incredible hunter, predator, and the top of the food chain. So as we look at Sue, very important to look at the face or the head. So if we look at Sue's face, and we can see from the front here, yeah, we can get a nice front view of Sue's face. Be able to look, you can kind of see the eyes. So we're going to see the eye sockets kind of up high and forward facing. So Sue would have eyes in front. Now there's an old rhyme, eyes in front, ready to hunt. Sue's eyes would be looking straight ahead, right at the prey. That means Sue, the T-Rex, would be able to tell how far away something was. We call that depth perception. And would also be able to pick something out of its background, even if it were to stand very, very still. So that's a myth. If you ever meet a T-Rex, I doubt you will, but if you do, don't stand still. Doesn't work. Now, Sue also had a great sniffer. Sue's nose was really, really strong and was able to sniff out prey or maybe a dead dino. So we do think T-Rexes would eat some dead stuff and scavenge, as well as hunting. They probably did both to get enough food to fuel that huge body. And then, of course, there are these. The teeth. That's right. This is a cast or an exact copy of one T-Rex tooth. Had it compared to my head. It's almost a foot long of tooth. Has sharp serrations on the side and that point for stabbing into the meat. Crushing bone with about 8,000 pounds per square inch of bite force. Twice some of the strongest crocodiles today. Enough to bite through a car door had there been cars around back then. So Sue had the teeth the eyesight, the sense of smell. Oh, yeah, Bob, are you able to highlight me for a second? Someone was asking about seeing the tooth out of the little screen. If not, that's okay. We'll do that later too, but this is the best view I can give you of the tooth there. So that's the tooth. And then, yeah, when we look at Sue's legs, I'm going to show you something else cool. So if we look at Sue's legs, they are super long compared to the body to hold up that 9-ton frame. And if we follow Sue's legs all the way down, we will see Sue's feet. And at the end, we will see these. And I'll move that closer again for you guys. That's not a tooth. That is one toenail, just the nail. Now raise your hand out there if you play a sport. And keep those hands up if you play an outdoor sport. Not everyone does, but if you do, cool, because you probably wear shoes with spikes on the bottom. They help you dig in, right? We call them spikes or cleats. That's a lot like what Sue's toenails were. Sue is digging into the ground with these to be able to hunt and chase their prey. And that leads us to a question. How fast could the T-Rex chase their prey? Well, I'm going to give you a quick frame of reference first. The fastest human ever measured was Usain Bolt in the Olympics at 27 miles per hour. That is blazing fast for a human. The fastest dogs go over 40 miles an hour. So how fast is a T-Rex? Turn to someone around you and tell them what you think. And then let's watch a little video to see just how fast a T-Rex actually was.
T-Rex probably only reached the top speed of 18 miles per hour. I bet I hit that on my ride to work.
Oh, not as fast as you might think for movies. So T-Rex was big. This was a 9-ton animal, and it's on 2 legs. If you tried to run and you landed on 1 foot with 9 tons, there's a lot of scientists who think T-Rex would break its own ankles. It's too heavy to run. And so this thing probably just took big, long steps. It can still go faster than most of us on foot, because 15 miles an hour isn't slow, but not as fast as you would think. And in fact, most of us, if we were riding a special vehicle that some of you may ride, you could probably outrun a T-Rex. Let's watch that video one more time and watch what goes by Sue at the end.
T-Rex probably only reached the top speed of 18 miles per hour. I bet I hit that on my ride to work.
Oh yeah, there goes that bike. Most of us on a good bike could outrun a T-Rex. So not as fast as you might think, but incredible eyesight and incredible jaw force and sense of smell. So this was a top-notch predator. Now, when we look at Sue's fossilized bones, we can also go beyond that and kind of model what we think the T-Rex looked like in the flesh. So let's take a quick
T-Rex
look.
probably only reached the top speed.
Sue's chasing that Jeep a lot today. So yeah, let's take a quick look at the Sue in the flesh. So you can see how bulky and how big that T-Rex is compared to those people, compared to that little duckbill dinosaur in its mouth. This is a 9-ton beast. So Sue was at the top, but it still was not an easy life for Sue. We're going to talk next about Sue's hard life. But before that, that's right, we got some trivia coming your way.
Alrighty, guys, get those brains a thinking because we got some more trivia for you. It has been activated. So let's dig in. Here we go. So, based on fossil evidence, it is hypothesized that Sue, A, replaced teeth throughout their lifetime, B, couldn't hear a human scream, C, had excellent eyesight, D, all of the above. 2, which was likely a prey animal for Sue? A, Brontosaurus, B, Stegosaurus, C, Triceratops, or D, all of the above. Next one. How big was an adult T-Rex's brain? Is it A, as big as a walnut? B, as big as an apple? C, as big as a water bottle? Or D, as big as a soccer ball? Go on ahead and put those answers in, and want to remind you guys that we do have a Q&A feature here. So as the presentation goes on, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and pop your questions into the Q&A, and we'll try to get to them either throughout the presentation or towards the end. Alrighty. So are we ready for our
Got a few coming in. Did we have
fewer
any?
coming in?
Yeah, a few still coming in. Bob, did we have any questions that guests sent ahead of time that maybe we can hit one while we're waiting here?
For sure. Let's take a look. See. So I'm looking at looking at May Overby from South Dakota,
Oh,
who's
nice.
saying, how do they know how old Sue the T-Rex was?
Ah, yeah, that's a great question. So, what you can do with a T-Rex and a lot of other dinosaurs, you can actually take a sample of the bone, and because they're reptiles, they grow every year, and they grow at a pretty steady rate for the most of part. So you can count rings on that bone, just like you would a tree, and tell how old the T-Rex was. And we're going to find out pretty quick how old Sue was. But first, let's hit our trivia answers because it looks like we've got a lot of responses in here.
Righty, trivia answers are coming. We're gonna end that poll. Bada boom. Alrighty, so let's dig in here. So, based on fossil evidence, it is hypothesized that Sue, and most of us are saying that C, had excellent eyesight.
That is a great thought, and it shows you guys were really listening on what we were talking about. But there were a couple things we didn't mention that are a little bit of a surprise. The correct answer to this is all of the above. Sue did have excellent eyesight, but we also think Sue couldn't hear a human scream because they were listening for lower sounds like other dinosaurs. And these teeth, once again, not only were they huge, sharp, and powerful, Sue could always grow them back. Every 2 years or so, a new tooth was ready to come right in. So never without the teeth. So all of the above we think are true. Now, what about the prey animal?
Right. Question two, most of us are saying that it is D, all the above.
Ah, we kind of got the audience on this one. This is our tricky question, and it is one of our most missed. So the correct answer is actually C, Triceratops. If you got Triceratops, kudos to you. It's a toughie here. So why is it not all the above? Well, here's the thing. We're used to seeing these movies and cartoons and things where every single kind of dinosaur, they all live at the same time and the same place, and they're all kind of frolicking around together. That's not how it really went down. Dinosaurs in their day lived across 170 to 180 million years. Huge span of time. They lived at different times in different places. Brontosaurus and Stegosaurus lived in the Jurassic period, way earlier than Sue, the T-Rex, and Triceratops, who lived in the Cretaceous. Now, based on fossils, we do know Triceratops lived in the same time and the same place as T-Rex, so T-Rex probably did eat Triceratops. And finally, the brain.
All right. Got a lot on our mind for this one here. And so for question three, most of us are saying that Sue's brain was the size of a soccer ball.
I like that you're giving Sue some credit there, everyone. It actually wasn't quite that big. Sue's brain was about the size of a water bottle. So you can see here, I actually have a T-Rex brain cast made from where the space for the brain would have been. It's not a walnut, but it's not exactly huge either. It's not, probably not even bigger than a human brain. So about the size of a water bottle. Enough to make Sue a great hunter, but probably not solving calculus problems. All right, so let's talk about Sue's hard life. So Sue was an incredible hunter, but Sue didn't live an easy life. You're hunting down things that will fight back. So if we take a look at Sue's 3D model again, we're going to see a couple things that would have happened to Sue during their life. 67 million years ago. Paleontologists are like detectives, and they're looking at this evidence. It's like a time capsule. So let's dig in. Let's look at Sue's ribs. If we take a look at the ribs, you will notice that there are 3 ribs that have these big kind of lumps on them. Yeah, there we go. Bob can show you those 3 kind of lumps near the front. Those are broken ribs. Sue suffered 9 damaged ribs total. We don't know exactly what did it. We can't see it happen, but it could have been a fight or a fall. But those bumps mean that the ribs did have a chance to heal up. And that means that Sue survived this, right? Because dead things don't grow, they don't heal. So what we know is Sue had bad injuries to the ribs, and Sue survived. But what about Sue's tail? Look at the tail up there. Some of those vertebrae, the bones on the top, are getting really jagged and crusty. You can see how they're kind of growing together or getting really kind of cracked. Yeah, that is a sign of something that today we would call arthritis or osteoporosis. Probably happened to Sue over a long life and a lot of wear and tear on the tail. So we have that injured tail as well. And what about Sue's legs? These legs were very important. Obviously, to hold up a 9-ton animal, you've got to have strong legs. So if you look at Sue's legs, what we'll notice on Sue's left leg, we're going to see a bone that is really badly injured. And right there, where Bob is showing you, you can see that it's got that huge lump, like on half of the bone. What is that? Well, it is an infection. The bone is infected from some sort of injury, and this probably made it very hard for Sue to walk. Now, what injured the leg? Think about what that might be as we take one more look at these injuries in some photos. The photos will let us see in more detail Sue's different injuries. So if you look here, you will see the ribs once again at the bottom and see how they're broken and all like kind of growing back. And then at the top, you see that arthritis. Look how crusty those bones are. It's going to make it tough to move that tail. Sue's tail was 20 feet long, half their body length, and was important for balance. That would be really a rough thing for a T-Rex. And then look at that leg. That huge lump over half of the fibula or the lower leg bone. What could have caused that? Well, we have an idea, and some of you might as well. Let's see that idea plays out on this little clip here. You'll notice Sue at the end walking with that limp. So we're not positive it was a Triceratops, but it could well have been another dinosaur, maybe a Triceratops that injured Sue's leg. And Sue had one other odd thing going on that we want to talk about, and that's with Sue's jaw. So we're going to take a look at Sue's skull and look carefully at the bottom jaw. There's something odd there. And Bob is kind of showing you there. Look at that. There are some holes. And those holes don't belong there. Sue has a lot of holes in their head. Most of them are supposed to be there. The ones on the bottom jaw are not. Now, we used to think that this was a type of parasite, a tiny little creature that ate through the jaw and might have killed Sue. But now this is where I talked about this. Paleontologists don't always have all the answers and they have to keep looking. It's okay to be wrong if you're a scientist. So one of our paleontologists, Jingmei O'Connor, took a look at this a couple of years ago and she said, no, this doesn't look like that type of parasite. Plus, they're starting to grow back a little bit. And what we learned earlier, right, is that dead things don't keep growing. So these holes very likely did not kill Sue and probably are not that parasite. What are they? Well, that has become another of Sue's many mysteries, but we are studying it still. All right, well, we've talked about Sue's hard life. Next, we're going to talk about Sue's discovery, but first, time for a trivia break.
All righty. Let's get some more trivia in there. We're going to activate this poll here, and y'all are going to be doing that trivia thing. It is active, it is live. Let's do it. Based on the fossil evidence we have, which part of Sue was not injured during life? Is it A, the leg? Is it B, the ribs? C, the eye? Or D, the tail? 2. When Sue died, they had lived as long as the oldest known what? A, dog, B, bird, C, tortoise, or D, shark? All right, let's do another one here. There we go. Sue's death remains a mystery, but what is the most likely cause? Is it A, a battle to the death with Triceratops? B, an immense volcanic eruption? C, a gigantic asteroid impact? Or D, just old age? All right. Let me see here really fast. Let me just sort this business out. Yeah. So while you guys are getting in there, we're going to sneak in another question here. Let's dig in. So, we got one from our friends and neighbors in Indiana through Webster Elementary, and they're asking, why is it important to study dinosaurs like Sue?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you to our friends in Indiana. So, yeah, it is important to study dinosaurs. They help us learn about, first of all, it's just fun, right? It's really cool to learn about these incredible creatures, some of which are nothing like what we see today. But it also teaches us about how different animals live. We can compare them to animals we know today. We can learn about the habitat and the environment they lived in to see how the earth has changed and how the earth might change in the future, how it might affect all of us. So it's great to study them, just to know more about animals, our earth, our planet, and just to see all the cool things, the behaviors, the different features they might have had. All right, looks like we are ready to hit our answers here.
All righty, let's knock this poll out here. We're going to end it, and here we go. Let's dig in. Number 1, based on the fossil evidence we have, which part of Sue was not injured during life? And right now we're looking at C, the eye. Most of us are saying the eye.
Excellent job, audience. You are correct. We talked about these. You were listening once again. You are being good listeners today. I can tell from these polls. The eye is the part that was not injured. Now, this is the one we've been talking about this whole time, the age. How about this?
All right. So when Sue died, they had lived as long as the oldest known what? Looks like we got a tie between tortoise and shark.
Oh, well, let me tell everyone how long these things have lived, because that's also kind of fun. So the longest lived dog was 30 years old or so. That's crazy long for a dog. The longest lived bird was about 83 years old. The longest tortoise was almost 200, and the longest lived shark we can only estimate, but we think they're close to 400 years old. How long did Sue live? Well, we took that bone sample, we counted the rings like a tree, and sure enough, Sue lived about 30 years, as long as the oldest known dog. So if you said dog, you got it. All right, and our picture trivia.
All right, here we go. Little picture here, and Sue's death remains a mystery, but what is most likely the cause? Most of us are saying just old age. Pretty close between just old age and gigantic asteroid impact.
Oh, wow. So something kind of peaceful, anticlimactic, or something immense and crazy. Wow, which was it? Well, we think it's probably D, just old age. Most likely, Sue died from different injuries, illnesses, just got really old for a T-Rex. At 30 to 33 years old, that would make Sue the oldest T-Rex ever found. Now, what about the asteroid? Well, that hit a million years after Sue lived. Other T-Rexes might have been wiped out by that, but not Sue. Sue didn't have to worry about it. All right, so just old age is the answer for that one. Excellent job again, audience. And as we talked about, Sue lived 67 million years ago. Asteroid hit 66 million years ago. Almost all the dinosaurs die out at that point. And we're going to flash forward now to 1990, back to the state of South Dakota for Sue's discovery. So Sue, the T-Rex, was found in this area here. And you can see how different it was from Sue's day. A lot more grass, not as many trees, not as wet. But you have these rock formations in the background there where you can find fossils. That's just what this team of fossil hunters was doing. And with them was a certain lady. And if you think you know this lady's name, tell someone around you or even pop it in the chat. This lady is a self-taught paleontologist, a treasure hunter, archaeologist, paleontologist, looks for ambers, animal lover. Let's see a picture of this lady. There she is. Who could that be? All right, I see your responses in the chat. Sue Hendrickson or Sue? Great job. Yes, this is Sue Hendrickson right here. This is the lady who found the T-Rex. That's why it's named Sue. So she was with the fossil hunting team from the Black Hills Institute, local out there in South Dakota. And on a day where there was a flat tire and everyone else stayed with the truck, she went for a walk with her dog Gypsy and found little pieces of bone in the rock and hiked up. And sure enough, it was a T-Rex. So the whole team went to work. It took them 17 days with 6 people working to get this out of the ground. Now, things got a little crazy then. The landowner, Mr. Maurice Williams, said, "This belongs to me. It's on my land." Fossil hunters said, "We gave you some money for it. It belongs to us." The local tribes, Native Americans, said it belongs to all of us, and this is our land. And the U.S. government said, "Well, wait, we're just holding on to that land for you. We want it." And so they took it away. So this whole case went to court. And finally, it was decided that the T-Rex belonged to Mr. Maurice Williams, a cattle rancher from South Dakota. What does he do? He puts it up for sale, for auction. And the winning bid was, of course, the Field Museum. That's how we got Sue, $7.6 million. And then we went to work. So the fossil prep had been started by Black Hills Institute. We continued it. And if you take a look at what a fossil looks like before and after, you will see that there is a lot of work that needs to be done. So if we look at Sue's skull, you're going to see before the prep, it's still got all that rock inside that has to be picked out super carefully until once we're done, then you can see the teeth, the eyes, the nose. You can study what's inside, where the brain would have been. It took 35,000 hours plus to get this ready. Why did it take so long? Well, let's look at the scene from the preparation and see all these people working on Sue. And you will see that they are not using big jackhammers or shovels. They are using tiny little tools like the dentist would use on your mouth. And that allows them to very carefully take that out. But it also takes a long, long time. So finally, Sue is ready for display. May 17th, 2000, Sue is revealed to the world at the Field Museum. And Sue's been here ever since. So Sue's been studied in so many different ways. And all of you were asking about the little arms earlier. And you can see here in the picture with the 2 guys, Bill Simpson, again, our paleontologist in the gray, and Pete Makovicky in the white, another of our paleontologists. They're taking that arm off way back in 2016, and they're going to study it. They sent it to a lab. They looked at it under a super high-powered microscope. And they found, we don't know. We still don't know what they use those arms for. Now, we've done another study on the arms, and hopefully we'll know more soon, but they basically could tell that they didn't use the arms a lot. But did they use them? Well, a few thoughts, since all of you asked earlier, are they could have slashed at prey, they could have grabbed prey like a meat hook to get a better bite, they could have held a mate during mating, or they might have just been evolving away because they didn't need them with that huge mouth. Now, Sue's also been laser scanned. And if you see the other images, that's the police department up on a lift, laser scanning Sue. And on the bottom, you see the image they got, which actually helps us create our 3D model that we use. And then in 2018, Sue moved upstairs to a new exhibit. And you can see Sue on display now right here. And I hope that everyone out there gets a chance at some point to come to the Field Museum. If you do, come up there, go upstairs, see Sue, and hang out for about 15 minutes, because every 15 minutes, the lights will go down. And you'll see this really cool light show on the fossil. You'll be able to see like what's real, what's not, what's been studied, what's been injured. It's a lot of fun. Now we're going to close with one more bit about Sue. We're going to look at the 3D model one last time, and we're going to see a few things that have been changed on Sue when Sue moved. Again, paleontologists have to learn and change things sometimes. So one of the things changed were Sue's legs were straightened up. Another thing changed, that Sue's belly ribs were put on. If you look carefully, you'll see those weird ribs on the stomach area. They're not quite ribs. We call them gastralia, but they're kind of like ribs, so close enough. We think those would have helped the T-Rex breathe. And everyone else there, take a deep breath. Put your hands on your belly, take a deep breath. You don't feel any bones in your belly, do you? Yeah, we don't have those, but we think those would have helped a T-Rex breathe. And then finally, my favorite bone on the T-Rex. We're going to look at Sue from the front. We're not going to show you exactly where the bone is. I want all of you to try to find it out there. But you can see it here. It kind of looks like a boomerang. If you see it, help someone around you find it. Point that boomerang bone out. Find it? Bob, where is that bone? Right in the middle, that little boomerang bone. So we've taken a deep breath. We're going to do a little stretch. Everyone stretch. Now, you might put your hands back up if, and only if, you have ever eaten chicken or turkey. And then I want you to put your other hand up if, and only if, you have taken a bone out of the chicken or turkey and snapped it in half. Sounds so violent and brutal, but it's kind of fun. The bone looks like this. Does anyone know what that bone is? Tell someone around you or put it in the chat. They probably look like this. The scientific name is a furcula, but yes, if some of you out there are saying wishbone, you got it. T-Rex had a wishbone just like a gigantic chicken or turkey. T-Rex walked on 2 legs with 3 big claws like a giant chicken or turkey. T-Rex might have even had feathers. We're not sure yet, but there's a good chance, just like a gigantic chicken or turkey. On that note, I'm going to send you back to Bob for your final set of trivia.
Alrighty, let's do this. Let's get our last bit of trivia in there. And hopefully, if you broke those wishbones, wish yourself a victory here. Let's do it. Question 1. Oops, we gotta activate that thing, right? We can't do a poll without activation. Let's make it right here. There we go. Now it's activated. Alrighty. So which of these Field Museum fossils is the most complete? Is it A, Maximo the Titanosaur, B, Sue the T-Rex, C, the Chicago Archaeopteryx, or D, Gorgeous George the Daspletosaurus? I'm feeling more comfortable with that word.
Yeah.
Number 2, opinion. What do you think a T-Rex looked like? A, green and scaly. B, scaly with a feathered mohawk down the back and tail. C, covered in big fluffy feathers. Or D, reddish brown with no feathers. All right, Let's get another one in here while you guys are filling this out. Our picture trivia, here we go. Which of these modern day creatures is most closely related to T. Rex? Is it A, the alligator, B, the Komodo dragon, C, the shark, or D, the chicken? Alrighty. So let's get a couple of these Q&As here really fast. Here we go. We got one from our friends in Homeschool, Michigan. Could Sue swim?
Thanks to our homeschoolers in Michigan. We do think T-Rex could swim. Now, how well it could swim is still kind of up in the air. You may have even seen a recent documentary that shows T-Rexes swimming across a huge expanse of water. We're not positive they could swim that well. That's just a thought or a possibility. Maybe they could. But T-Rexes could at least get across a river. There's some evidence of big meat-eating dinosaurs like claw marks on the bottom of ancient riverbeds. So they're probably kind of pushing themselves across. And with all their hollow bones, kind of like a chicken, they could probably float pretty well. So it's a little up in there how well they could swim. But yeah, we do think they could swim across some things if they needed to. All right. Well, let's take a look at our answers here, and then we'll hit some more Q&A.
For sure. All right, we're going to end that poll and let's get to some of our answers here. We got question 1, which we're asking, which of these Field Museum fossils is the most complete? Most of our pals are saying Sue the T-Rex.
Okay, Sue is very complete at 90%. And I saw in the chat, it looks like, I can't quite see the name, Mrs. Vincent's class had a question, does the museum have any other complete dinosaurs on display? Well, to answer your question, C, the Chicago Archaeopteryx is 99% complete. So yes, we do. The Chicago Archaeopteryx is the most complete out of these. Sue is 90%. Archaeopteryx is 99. Gorgeous George, the Displetosaurus, is about 50 or 60, and Maximo the Titanosaur is a cast. So not real. What about the opinion, the appearance?
All right, most of us are saying that T-Rex kind of looked reddish brown with no feathers.
Yeah, no right or wrong answer here. We're not sure yet. That we're studying. Now, I like to think of that feathered mohawk on the back, but we don't know for sure if it had feathers or not. Haven't found that evidence. Good chance it might have, especially because of some of its relatives. So how did our audience do on this final question?
Ready? And we're looking at the picture trivia question. Most of our pals are saying the chicken.
All right.
Chicken
Good
is a big
job,
relative.
audience. Yes, the closest relative. So indeed, we gave a lot of hints. We dropped a lot here. So birds are living dinosaurs. You can maybe see a book behind me. It says dinosaurs are not extinct. Something we need to retrain our brains on. Dinosaurs didn't die out. I mentioned with the asteroid, most of them did. Oh. Birds survived, and birds were within the dinosaur family back then, and they still are now. So a chicken is a living dinosaur, which also makes a chicken the closest living relative to a T-Rex. All right, well, let's hit some audience Q&A.
All righty, let's do it. Let's dig in here. There's some Q&A. Let's see. How long? Yeah, here we go. How long after the meteor hit did the dinosaurs die? That was from someone from Townsend.
All right. Well, we hit that a little bit already, in that not all the dinosaurs did die. So the birds, that small group of dinosaurs that were birds, they did survive, and they went on to become one of the biggest groups of vertebrate or backboned animals today. But if you're talking about the big dinos and the ones that aren't birds, then yeah, not long. We don't know exactly. Some might have held on for a while, but a lot of them died very quickly, probably within years after the asteroid hit. It wiped out some of them on impact, but then that asteroid, it knocked all the dust out and blocked out the sun. The plants died and the whole food chain, right, got interrupted. So within years, most of the dinos had died, and some might have held on for a bit longer. But aside from birds, they died out pretty quick.
Okay, got another one here for you. Is Sue Hendrickson still alive?
Yes, Sue Hendrickson is still alive and well, at least last I checked. She owns a vet clinic in a little island, I believe off Honduras. Um, yeah, so she is still doing fun stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Got another one here for you. How much does Sue's skull weigh?
Yeah, the fossilized skull has turned into a lot of rock, so that skull now weighs about 600 pounds, heavier than it would have been when Sue was alive.
Oh, nicely done. Let's see here. We got time for one more here. How did they pick the Badlands as a good place to dig? That's from Manatee Elementary in Florida.
Oh, yeah. So that is a known area for dinosaur fossils. And there's a formation there where they know that you can find fossils of Cretaceous animals like T-Rexes, Triceratops. So they picked it because it was already well known. And that knowledge has been passed down from paleontologists. And then before that, certainly Native Americans would have seen these things out there as well. So people have known about this for a long, long, long time, that there's these weird big bones. And now it's just well known among paleontologists to go out and dig there.
Hey, well, Jeff, thanks so much for all the Q&A here. Sure do appreciate your expertise. And want to thank all you guys out there again for joining us today during Sue's virtual tour. We hope you enjoyed learning about Sue's life and their journey to the Field Museum. But before we go, we want to share our favorite dinosaurs. And Jeff, can you talk about your favorite dinosaur?
Yeah, I would be happy to. And as we're talking about these, if all of you out there want to put your favorite dinosaur name into the chat, please do. We'll read a few of them at the end. So my favorite is Spinosaurus. Really incredible creature. Super weird. Probably swam in the water. There's a big debate over whether it dove underwater or not. So it's great because it's one of those debates in paleontology where we're still trying to figure it out. But definitely had a huge sail on the back, longer than a T-Rex, crocodilian jaws. What a cool creature. So, Bob, what is your favorite dino?
Oh, my favorite is a Stegosaurus, and that is because when I was a kid, when I was a wee little Bob, I would eat these dinosaur cookies, and my favorite one was Stegosaurus. It just unlocked a core memory whenever I see it, and it makes me crave cookies. So Stegosaurus, you get my salute.
All
All
right.
right. Excellent. So again, thank you again for joining us. Jeff, thank you again for your expertise. You flip and rock. And for more science and cultural learning opportunities, take a look at Field Museum's Learning Resource Hub at fieldmuseum.org/learning resources. And stay tuned for more opportunities to connect with the Field Museum in real time as we expand our live offerings from virtual talks with scientists to online learning resources. We at Field Museum are working hard to bring a journey of discovery to you in your home or school. All right. Anything else you want to add, Jeff?
No, we got a couple answers. We got Sue and we got a Brachiosaurus as a favorite dino, which is great. The first Brachiosaurus ever was found by Field Museum scientists. One last little fact for you out there. But yeah, we always close with our usual. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and always stay curious. Bye, all.